Okay, so we'll talk about FTP next. So FTP is an old protocol, but we didn't put it in the beginning because it's not the fundamental. It's not an infrastructure service. Okay, so it's a very old protocol and a very strange protocol too. And we have mentioned that FTP is the only application that exercises what? Out-of-band signaling, meaning having two connections, one for control messages, one for data messages. But why? Why the other application they all exercise in-band signaling, but FTP exercise out-of-band signaling? One of the major reasons is when it was designed in early 70s, the network is slow. So to transfer a file, it could take minutes or hours. So I remember when I transfer my file from UCLA in 1993, and my file is only I don't remember the number, several hundred megabytes, and it took one night to transfer. The reason I know why it's one night is because I started FTP transfer around 5 p.m. when I'm about to leave the office, about 5 or 6 p.m. And then I watch, okay, it's very slow. So I know it's going to take a long time. So I left my office. And the second day I come back in the morning, and I realized it stopped it finished at about 5 or 6 a.m. So it took entire night to transfer the file from UCLA to NCTU in 1993. So even in 1993, the network bandwidth is not abundant. It's very small, and transferring a large file, I remember probably it's a 2 gigabyte. Everything I accumulate at UCLA, I put it into a tar file, a TAR. I think it's tar file, and then transfer. Not to mention, back in early 70s, the file transfer is going to be very slow. And if you have in-band signaling and the file is being transferred, and the transfer take minutes, tens of minutes or hours, and during the transfer, can you issue a control message, a command? Can you? No, because the connection is occupied by the data transfer. So so remember what we have shown the SMTP POP3 IMF4 session, right? They are control request response, and some will have data, right? Request response are control messages, and occasionally you would have data messages. Okay, if the data message is very long, take a long time, then you need to wait before you can send another control message, before you can send another command. So with FTP, during the transfer, it's going to be long. So what you want to do is that during the transfer, I still want to check the other files. For example, I still want to browse the directory. So then you would need, in order to do that, in order to send request response, even though the data is being transferred, in order to do that, you need to separate the control and data. So that's why it has two connections, the out-of-band signaling. Okay, so it's for file transfer, and the FTP server. You could also work with the browser, from a browser with the FTP server. and some FTP commands. So you can connect. Open means connect to a server, and then you can. Well, these are another. This is command tool, but the message is here. The FTP protocol messages. The FTP protocol message is here. That you would log in with your ID and password, but some of the FTP server allows anonymous login, so they could allow guest login, and then you have some command here. You tell the server whether you want to do active or passive mode. We'll see that what is active, what is passive. And you want to retrieve means download the file, or you want to store, it means upload. So you could, as a client, you may download the file from the server or upload file to the server. So that download is called retrieve, upload is called store. Okay, and these two are for passive or active transfer. We'll see that. And the response, again, with the 200 something means successful. All the others means 300 something means special condition, while the others means error. Okay, so how does the two connection work? So here it is. So here's the client, and here's the server. So in this figure, it shows that the client initiated the control connection. So it will send this. It will send this. Okay. It send this command after TCP connection setup, after three-way handshake TCP connection setup. It send a FTP request with this command port, and this is my IP address, and this is my port number. So basically, it's telling the server, okay, this is my IP address, and this is my port number, and I'm going to listen on this port number. Please connect. Please establish a data connection to this port number. So it's telling the server, please connect to this port number of mine. So actually, it's telling the server, okay, here the server listen on port number 21, and it know where to connect to, and after the connection, it send this message, port, and this port command is telling the server to establish a data connection to this port number at the client. So then the server respond with OK 200 something, OK, and then initiate a three-way handshake to connect to this port number at the client. Okay, so the connection is established by the server, initiated by the server, Okay, so the connection is on, and now we have two connections. Next, the client send the command on the control connection, while the data transfer happen in the data connection, either upload or download. Okay, and you send the commands here, and when the upload or download is happening, you still can issue commands. So you don't need to wait for the upload or download to finish before you can send further commands. And this kind of mode is called active mode from the aspect of the server. So it's another mode is called passive mode, but we will see later. But here it's active mode, FTP session, active from the aspect of the server, because the data connection is established by the server. Okay, here, so I have two connections, two sockets on the client, two sockets on the server. And the port number here is dynamic port number, the client side dynamic port number. The port number here is well-known port number. And the port number here is dynamic port number. It doesn't matter which number, just picked by the kernel. And the port number is specified here. Okay, so two connections, two sockets on each side, two port number on each side. However, there are, that's called active mode. There are situations where you couldn't do active mode. You need to do passive mode. When you are behind a firewall or an NAT. Here's what happened. So if you are behind a firewall or NAT, I mean the client, and the server is on the internet, and you send a message, port number, you send a port command telling the server to connect to a port number at the client. However, that connection will fail. It would fail because there's a firewall. It will be blocked. So you couldn't you couldn't establish a connection from the outside internet. Usually, NAT and firewall, with the NAT and firewall, it means that you allow outgoing connection, but not incoming connection. So the server cannot connect to the client. That's an incoming connection, which is not allowed. So you need to do outgoing connection from the client to the server. So here's how. Okay, so this failed. So now the client sent a command, which is this. It sent this command, passive. It tells the server, the client tells the server to listen on a port. Now you listen on the port. I'm going to connect over. So passive command is the client telling the server to listen on particular port. So since this failed, so I send the passive PASV command to the server, telling the server to listen on particular port number. Okay, so now I specify a port number, asking the server to listen on. So the server listens on this port number, and the server responds. Here the server responds, telling the client, okay, I'm waiting on this port number, please connect over. So the client then issue an outgoing TCP connection. And because the firewall only block what? Incoming connection, but not outgoing connection, right? You can still send the outgoing connection. It only block the incoming connection. So it will be you could establish a connection, and the server is listening on this port number, So then the data connection is established. And this is called passive mode from the aspect of the server. So the normal case is that the client would issue the control connection and asking the server to set up the data connection to a particular port number at the client. But if it fails, then it would send a command, PASV command, asking the server to listen on a port number, and the server reply saying, okay, I'm listening on this port number, and then the client can send an outgoing data connection to the server. So this is passive from the aspect of the server. So this, of course, this complicates things. Not just two connection, but two mode. Two connection, and probably two modes. Okay, so we have explained the purpose of these two commands, port and passive. This is used when you are doing active mode, and this is used when it's passive mode. Okay, and download and upload. Okay, and so here's an FTP session, and this is active mode. So it doesn't use the PASV command. The open source implementation by FTP, Washington University, and it also supports some other feature like virtual FTP server, so that several organizations can share one FTP server, and under file compression, so that we can compress the file, transfer, and decompress. And it's the way it also for sure it needs to be concurrent, because the service time is going to be long. The service time is the file transfer time. It's going to be long, so you need to achieve concurrency, and the way it achieve concurrency is by forking child process. So child process, fork a child process to serve the client. So the way it does concurrence, the way it achieves concurrency is very simple, very primitive, just fork child process. By the way, I forgot to mention the way concurrency is achieved in Apache server. In Apache server, it has two versions. One is called pre-forking, and one is pre-threading. But in either case, they all bind a process, a child process or child thread, to a client. So the client's service time, entire service time, is served by one process or one thread. So similar to this, but the only difference is in Apache server, it does pre-forking or pre-threading, meaning that it would have a pool of idle processes or a pool of idle threads, so that when a client comes in, when the client connects, you would dispatch an idle process or thread to serve the client immediately. You don't need to spend initial time to fork or create. Okay, so that the response time to the client will be faster. But for FTP, they don't do pre-forking or pre-threading. It's on demand. You fork a process on demand when a client comes in.